In this video, I'm going to share with you the most cringeworthy and injury-provoking mistakes I see in the gym as a physical therapist that I highly encourage you to avoid. How's it going, guys? Dr. Chris Sovey back with another episode of Working Body Wednesdays. Working Body Wednesdays is where we talk about posture, functional movement, and hardening your body so it's better able to handle the demands of daily life. If that sounds like something that's interesting to you, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell so you never miss another video again. I'm sharing these tips because these are the things that I see in the gym when I go every day to do my exercise routine. I am by no means the know-all end-all of everything, and there are so many things that I'm ready to admit that I don't know. But these are some things that should have common sense for most people, and sometimes I'm surprised that they don't. So I want to share with you these things, these top 8 tips on what to avoid in the gym. I should note that the majority of these tend to be males because they're going too hard, too fast, or too long without the right form or too much weight or things like that. And if you're not paying attention to these things, you're just working hard and you're not working smart. So why don't we actually start right what I was talking about? Number 1 is uncontrolled reps, or maybe too much weight. So let's say, for instance, you're on a tricep, you're on a cable pulley, and you're doing some type of tricep extension. I saw a guy the other day that was doing this, where he was bringing it down, and then he was throwing it back up, so the weight was going like this, and his entire shoulder was jerking up. Now, what do you think that means? It means that we're putting our joints at higher risk for injury, right? When we are not able to control the amount of weight that we're putting and we're not able to decelerate it with our muscles, with our body, then we are putting ourselves at a greater risk for injury. So guys, I know that a lot of people want to advance quicker and go bigger, stronger, harder, faster. But if you go too fast, then you are likely to put yourself at risk for injury. On the opposite side of the spectrum, I see a lot of people doing cardiovascular exercise where they're just flying along as hard as they can. They're on the elliptical and they're like, "Rah!" And they have no resistance whatsoever, and their joints are just flying all over the place. And that is kind of the same, right? Because they have no control of their body. This one tends to be more females, I'll admit that. This one tends to be more females, but I've seen guys do it too. They are just pushing as fast as they can, when in reality you could get more out of that workout and hit your target heart rate quicker and possibly even build some more endurance and maybe a little mass too if you were to put on some resistance and perhaps do some interval training where you do short bursts of activity quickly and then you back off and you have a rest period, and short bursts of activity quickly and then you back off a little bit. So that makes a lot more sense than just going as hard as you can, as fast as you can, without any control. And in the beginning of exercises, there's a lot of people that aren't taking their warm-up seriously. They don't take flexibility seriously. Guys, it's really important. You need to be doing some type of dynamic warm-up where you're moving your body in some big motions to get the joints ready to do what you're gonna do. If you're a runner, that might include a series of different lunges or squats or working in all the different planes, or it depends on what the exact sport is. But the important thing is that your warm-up is going to reflect what you're going to do in your workout, or it's going to reflect your goals in general. So take this seriously. I'm not always sure that stretching is the right thing, but making sure that we're getting the joints ready before we just go full-blown balls to the wall right into your workout routine. Another thing to consider is when you're designing your workout program and you're revising it, are the things that you're doing tying into some type of function? Is it related to something that you have to do in your daily life, or a sport or some type of activity? If it's not, then why are you doing it? Are you doing it because a magazine told you it was a good thing to do? Well, it might not be an appropriate thing for you. You have to design your workout programs around the things that you need to do in your daily life. And if you don't have the knowledge to do that, then you should be with someone that can do that for you, whether it's a physical therapist or a personal trainer, and have them customize that program for you so you get a lot more out of your workout program. Which brings me to the next point, which is similar, where people are training for their appearance. Now, the people are a lot more guilty of this in their teens and 20s. And then usually when you hit your 30s, you start to look at things a little differently, and depending on where you are in your life, do you need to impress people the same way? Are you training for those artificial looks and you're overtraining the front of the body, you're overtraining the chest, you are not thinking about some of the postural muscles in the back, and you're doing things like crunches and bench press only to develop that nice chiseled chest and the checkerboard abs so you look great on the beach? Well, on some people, especially if they have dysfunction, that may worsen your dysfunction by overtraining the wrong set of muscles. So if you're training for appearances and you're only doing crunches and bench press, well, guess what? If you're spending all day on a computer on your job for the rest of the time, then all you're going to do is make yourself more and more rounded because you're training all these muscles on the front of your body that are going to bring you into a slumped posture. Not a great thing if you're somebody that spends a lot of time on the computer. So be sure to balance your workout and equally train the muscles that need to be balancing the other muscles, and always question, does what I'm doing right now make sense for me? Is it going to be beneficial for me and my function? Which brings me to my next point, guys. Can we just get rid of sit-ups? I mean, let's get rid of them, because there's almost no value to that unless you had some type of nerve injury or something related to surgery where, well, in fact, you are having a issue with your hip flexors. Most of the time, people are already too tight in their hip flexors in the first place. So just wanted to put that in there. Can we just get rid of those? And that's great. Let's move on. People are doing movements that are too big before they're ready for them. And what happens is you end up compensating. And when you end up compensating, then you're going to start using the wrong muscles. You're not going to train some of those deep core stabilizers. So the perfect example is something like, well, if you can barely balance on one leg, does it make sense for you to balance on one leg and throw a medicine ball and balance on an uneven surface like an Eric's or a Bosu ball upside down? No, of course not. Break those movements down into smaller pieces and work on just the single leg stance, or maybe even something less than that. Work on a less invasive position than that, like a 4-point on your hands and knees, and work on your balance and reaching opposite arm, opposite leg, things like that, where you're having to challenge yourself in a controlled environment. But if you're doing things and you're advancing things too quickly where you don't have the fundamental motions first, then you're much more likely to be at risk for injury. Well, I kind of tied those 2 points together, I suppose. Too big and compensating, and advancing too fast. But really, they are similar. We need to make sure that you're taking your time to design your exercise program appropriately. So the summary here, guys, is work smarter, not harder. Be sure to train both sides of your body. Be sure to be ready for the motions that you need to train before advancing. Use resistance appropriately. Don't go into cardio without having some type of resistance or challenge to it. Be controlled with your motions, and you'll get a lot further. This has been another episode of Working Body Wednesdays. And guys, I'd love to hear what type of gym fails or mistakes you've seen other people make, or mistakes you've made yourself that you've learned from, What sorts of mistakes have you seen people make in the gym? What sorts of mistakes have you made in the gym? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Love to hear your experiences. I try to post every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so be sure to check back next Wednesday. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.